Hello everyone. My name is Manpreet Singh. I'm a solution specialist in Thales. So thank you very much for joining this session, and I'm hoping everyone is safe at their home. So today's session is about securing digital transformation, right? So sorry, there is a background noise.
Yeah, I'm just taking care of that. You just please
Okay.
continue.
Okay. So before I begin, I would like to give quick intro about Thales. So Thales has been present in India since 1953 and has a wholly owned Indian subsidiary, Thales India Private Limited, headquartered in New Delhi, and the company has other operational offices and sites in Bengaluru, Nagpur, Mumbai, Pune, among others. So Thales is a leading global provider of trusted cryptographic solutions to protect the world's most sensitive application and information. More than 80% of the world's payment transactions are secured by Thales HSMs, the hardware security modules. Now, as you know that data has become the new oil. As per the IDC Data Age 2025 white paper report that by 2025 there will be 175 zettabytes of global data, right? It means that data will be everywhere. It will be in cloud, server, networks, user devices, medias. So nowadays it is everywhere. And now, so which means that organizations are facing new challenges every day to protect this data from data breaches, as hacking tools are easily available on internet. So protection of this data become an utmost importance, and if it is not protected properly, this sensitive data, then it could cause serious damage to companies' financial as well as the public reputation, right? Also, I mean, there's a survey done that 97% enterprises are undergoing digital transformation which have sensitive data, but only 30% of them are using the encryption technology to protect this data. So the reason being that most of the enterprise and the rest of the organization which are not protecting this data, the reason is that they are not even aware that where that data is. And if they cannot analyze it, then they cannot protect it, they cannot understand the value of it, and they cannot assess the risk if that data gets stolen or breached, right? So 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 there so so what is a data breach now? It's a security incident in which any sensitive or protected data gets compromised or stolen, to be used to harm an organization reputation or maybe an individual. So there has been a survey done where it has been shown that the Indian organizations have lost 12.8 crore rupees on data breaches, and the cost of data breach has been risen till 12%. And if you do a simple math, then you will get a comparable idea that cost of a breach is more than costs of a controls they can implement to prevent these breaches, right? So 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 the attackers are out there, right? Because due to this COVID-19 situation, the organization have allowed the access to the resources which was earlier not allowed from the remote access, right? So which has given the opportunities to attacker to exploit those resources or to steal the sensitive data, uh, and to and to protect it. And that data could be anything. That could be a financial information like Aadhaar number, like your account number, your credit card numbers, or any personal identifiable information, right? And once this data is exposed, then God knows that how this data can be used to target an individual user or a company. So the protection of data has become an importance, right? Now, considering with that being said, cybersecurity is like a happy onion, right? You cannot rely on one layer to protect your data. There are attacks out there which can cut right through your web firewall, application firewall, or your IDS, what I'm trying to say here is that your penetration security is not enough when we're talking about protecting your data, right? And also with this COVID-19 situation now, there are more and more resources are available remotely, and attackers can exploit those holes to exploit the sensitive data or to leak the sensitive data. Now, now to so you cannot rely on one layer, as I was saying earlier. You should be having multiple layers to protect that data, and one of the layer where Thales helps you to protect the data is the data security layer. And there are guidelines out there when we are talking about protecting the data at core, which talks about different controls like encryption, key management, access control, securing the keys in the hardware security modules. And since organizations are doing the digital transformation, like they are moving towards the cloud, right? So there are guidelines and there are best practices that when you're moving towards cloud, you should have the control and the ownership of those encryption keys. You cannot give away your lock and the key to the same person, to the same unauthorized person, right? So even if you're moving your data to the cloud, then at the same time you should still be owning those encryption keys in your control, so that even when something bad happens, or you want to do some digital shredding like that, then you can erase those keys from you. I mean, those keys are in your control, and you can simply delete those encryption key or erase those encryption key from your system to completely that data useless to the cloud service providers. So considering this, now what should be the data breach mitigation strategy or the data protection strategy which a company should adopt? So the first thing the organization should be aware of, that they need to understand where their sensitive data is. If you don't know where your data is, you cannot protect it, right? So, and this data can be anywhere. It can be in your cloud, it can be on premise, in application databases, virtual machine, anywhere. It could be on your end user machine, right? uh, so first you have to identify where this data is. So once you have identified that data, you have to understand how that data is being used, how it is being shared with the third parties. Is it being shared in clear with the third party, or it is being shared in some other format? And what would be the implication if you share it as it is, as the way you are sharing right now with the third parties? So once you have identified, then you can implement various controls on it. I mean, there are widely adopted controls out there, like the encryption, tokenization, key management, the hardware security module. So there are many controls out there which you can implement to protect that data from core. And once you have the encryption is placed, once you have your data is protected, you also have to protect your encryption keys. Because because as we have seen in the previous slide, that data has been growing exponentially, which means the more amount of data you have, your encryption requirement will grow, which means that there will be number of encryption keys out there. And if you attempt to manage those encryption keys in silo, or maybe leave it to the cloud service provider, or maybe to the third service provider, then it would cause another challenge. That means it means that which it means that if you're not protecting your encryption keys from the hackers or from the malicious user, then there is no use of protecting that data with any of the technology like the encryption or tokenization. So there has to be a centralized key management system in which you can create the segregation between the encrypted data and the encryption keys. And those encryption keys can be managed in the hardware security modules, or the FIPS certified key management solutions and all that. And once you have your encryption and the key management in place, and means once you have safeguarded that data with these controls, then you need to understand that you need to implement the access controls on that. Because as the enterprises are adopting new technologies such as mobile and cloud applications, so the controls are necessary. You cannot rely on simple username and password, right? There has to be some kind of a multi-factor authentication or single sign-on. As earlier, one of the panelists was saying about the risk adaptive authentication. So that kind of control has to be there when we are talking about safeguarding the data. Now, with that being said, uh, Thales has a unique solution portfolio which addresses all the requirement when it comes to protecting the data at the core. So we have so as I said, as per our strategy, that first you have to identify and discover your sensitive data in the enterprise. And once you have discovered that, then you can implement controls on top of it, and those controls can be implemented at the file folder level, maybe a database, in application, or in cloud. So once you identify that you have a data residing in the cloud with with the data discovery, then you can then you will then you will evaluate how it is being used, what are the risks associated with it if that data gets leaked, and what controls you can implement on top of it to mitigate that risk. So, Thales has a unique portfolio, as I said, solution which helps you to do all that. So it doesn't matter where your data is, whether it's in the application, database, file system, in cloud, or in big data containers. We help you to identify, discover that sensitive data, and then you can implement the access controls on top of it, like the encryption, tokenization, key management, and the also, in addition to that, you can implement the access controls like the single sign-on, multi-factor authentication, and all that to protect that data from the internal and the external attacks. And the solution portfolio is available in all the form factors, be it on-premise, cloud, or hybrid, as the organizations are moving towards cloud. So this is my last slide about one of the use case which we have implemented. So here the organization was moving towards the e-documents, I mean the digital signing, and they wanted to have the authenticity, integrity, and the non-repudiation intact when they were sharing those documents with the third party. And then the critical piece in this complete in the digital signing is the digital signature. So that digital signature has to be safeguarded from the unauthorized users, right? So that's where there is a role of HSMs, the hardware security modules, which Thales provide. And you can secure those encryption keys, I mean the digital signatures in the HSM, so that only the authorized application and users can use that digital signature to create the signed document. And uh, and then the, and this particular role of HSM has also been specifically called out in the CCTNS infrastructure, where they have specifically mentioned that there should be a role of use of HSM or the encryption and the key management to maintain the CI triad, which is the confidentiality, integrity, and the availability to protect the data at core. So, so that's it from my side. I hope this would have given you a clear idea and an idea that what should be the strategy you should be implementing while protecting the data at core. Thank you.
Okay, so Manpreet, there is a question from the audience. Can you
Yeah,
take that if you
yeah,
want?
sure.
Okay, so there is a question that don't you think that blockchain can provide a good solution to ensure the data is not adulterated?
Yes, definitely. The blockchain has the capability to do that, because in blockchain they use the in the blockchain technology. I mean, there's a feature of immutability which we say. So which prevents to change the any transaction which you are sharing across different sites. So blockchain is one of the technology which helps you to do that. But again, blockchain in blockchain technology, there's still you use the encryption or the signing operations to achieve that immutability. And to achieve that, there's a need for a hardware security module to secure the encryption keys, because if you lost that encryption keys, that blockchain infrastructure will get broken. I mean, there will be no use of using the blockchain infrastructure if your keys gets compromised, which are being used to achieve the immutability in the blockchain infrastructure. So that's where there's a need of, the key management of the hardware security module solution.